My 4-year-old said there was a big fairy dragon in our backyard. I laughed until I went outside. Here's a big fairy dragon eating our flowers. My daughter Emma stood in the kitchen doorway, her eyes wide with excitement. It was 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I was already late for a Zimmer meeting. That's nice, sweetie, I said, barely looking up from my laptop. Why don't you draw me a picture of your dragon while I finish this work call? But he's whale, she insisted, tugging my sleeve. He's blue and green and sparkly, I sighed. Emma had recently discovered the magic of making up stories. Last week, she'd had an invisible unicorn living in our bathtub. The week before, supposedly the mailman was secretly Santa Claus on summer vacation. My husband and I had been working on the difference between imagination and lying. Creative play was wonderful, but we didn't want her telling her preschool teacher that her grandmother was a mermaid. Emma, I said in my serious parent voice. Remember our talk about real things versus pretend things? Her little face crumbled. But Pachis, I am not now, honey. Pachis has to work. I handed her a coloring book. Why don't you draw your dragon for me? I'll look at it after my meeting. She stumped off, muttering something about grown-ups never believing kids. My meeting ran long, as they always do afterwards. I noticed Emma hadn't returned with her drawing fez, or a twinge of guilt for dismissing her so quickly. I went looking for her. I found her sitting cross-legged on our back patio, completely still, unusual for my perpetual motion machine of a child. Emma, what are you? She put her finger to her lips. She'll scare him. I followed her, pointing finger toward our hibiscus bushes, fully prepared to play along with her imagination, and then I froze. Perched on the largest bloom was the most extraordinary hummingbird I'd ever seen. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of a normal hummingbird, with iridescent blue-green feathers that shimmered like metal in the morning sun. Its long tail feathers curved elegantly as it hovered, wings moving so fast they created the illusion of transparency in the sunlight. Surrounded by pink flowers, it really did look like some mythical miniature dragon. Emma whispered, I told you he was real. I dropped down beside her, speechless. Later, I learned we'd been visited by a violet-crowned wood nymph, a rare hummingbird species almost never seen in our region. The local Audubon Society actually sent a photographer when I reported the sighting. That night, I sat on Emma's bed during story time, having just finished an extra-long chapter as my silent apology. Mommy, she said as I tucked her in, next time I tell you something, will you believe me first? I kissed her forehead. I promised to listen better. She nodded seriously. Because Tyr is a fox with a white tail who visits our trash cans at night, and he wears a little hat. Hun smiled. A hat. Huh, what kind of hat? 3 days later, I nearly dropped my coffee mug when I spotted our local raccoon with an empty yogurt container perfectly perched on his head like a tiny cap, rummaging through our recycling. I've stopped dismissing my daughter's stories. Art out. A child's perspective might just be the clearest view of all. What's the wildest, unbelievable thing your child has been right about?